Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Keep It Clean with Manny Robles. I'm your host, George, aka the Fighter's Rep, along with your co-host, right there in the flesh, Manny Robles. Coach Manny, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, George. It's been a long I had a nice weekend to begin with, and it's been a long, nice week since we last spoke.
Well, we love nice weekends, Manny. Kind of let me know what are you up to? What did you have going on? Was it boxing related?
No boxing related. Nothing to do with boxing this weekend. I just enjoyed the weekend with the family. Had my granddaughters over this weekend, so that was nice. I had a
Yeah.
nice lunch with my son and his girlfriend yesterday, and my granddaughter, my wife. So we had a excellent lunch, lobster lunch yesterday. That was very, very good, very pleasant, and just enjoying the week. I enjoyed the weekend with both my granddaughters, so that was very
Manny, you
nice.
mentioned your son. Your son was a fighter as well, right? Very high level.
Yes, yes. My son was the NABF champ. He's was rated in the top 10 in the world at one point. Got to number 3 in the world. Got an opportunity to fight for the world title. Came up short, but he fought a hell of a fight. I'm very proud of him because he left it all in the ring, kept it clean, and he fought a great fight. But unfortunately, you can't win them all. And I'm very proud of him for everything that he's been able to accomplish as a fighter,
And is it look
as an amateur. Yeah, go ahead.
well? Is it looking like he may be headed down the coaching path the way you have, Manny?
I don't know. I don't know. He's a carpenter. He's in a carpenters union. He's got a nice little job, and he's happy there. So I don't want to mess with that. I was a carpenter myself at one point. Where I decided to take on the coaching career, boxing coaching career, and it's been I've been very blessed. But it's up to him. He's in a union now. Like I said, he's building stuff, and he's happy. He's in a good place.
Gotcha, Manny. Well, Manny, we had boxing's continued return. A lot of people were saying, this past weekend was one of the biggest we've had since the pandemic because there were two titles on the line with Erislandy Lara defending his
Mm-hmm.
title, and then we also had a guy we're a huge fan of, and Jose Ramirez
That's
taking
correct.
on Victor
Hmm.
Postol. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on those fights. Did you get a chance to catch that Jose Ramirez Postol fight?
Yes, I did. It was a very, it was an entertaining fight. It wasn't a very good fight. I gotta be honest with you. To be truthful, I was expecting a lot more from Jose, and it turned out to be a boxing match more than a fight itself. Knowing Jose's the type of fighter that'll go in there and demolish his opponents, or at least make it a good fight, but an entertaining fight. But styles make fights, and Postol was not the type of fighter that was gonna sit there and bang with Jose Ramirez. He came out to box, and it was a very close fight, man. At the end of the night, I mean, the fight could have gone either way, in my opinion.
Wow, Manny. I'll be honest with you, Manny. I kind of saw it. I kind of saw it the same way you saw it. If anything, I was a little bit disappointed in Jose Ramirez. What did you kind of see in the fight that you think kind of made it go the way it did, being such a close fight?
Well, like I said, styles make fights. He had a certain game plan. Postal did. The jab was working for him very nicely. Stick and move, and not allow Jose Ramirez to set up his big power punches, his big combinations. So as long as you're sticking and moving, you're never allowing someone with the pedigree of Jose Ramirez to really allow him to sit on his punches. That could be a that could be the blueprint for a fight versus Josh Taylor if they
Oof.
if they ever get a fight.
Yeah.
Stick and move. But I like Josh because he's the type of fighter that'll sit there and bang with you as well. But he can box.
Yeah.
He can box. He's got to do whatever works for him, of course. And you got to pick your spots. You know what I mean? Pick your spots and try to control the momentum of the fight and have it go your way. If you're boxing, like for example, Josh, what would I do with Josh? Maybe send them to box the first few rounds, the first 3 or 4 rounds, and as the fight is going by, if you're dominating the fight by boxing, then you can afford to sit back and bang a little because you have the advantage.
Yeah.
But with Jose, I've known Jose for a very long time. He's a very good friend of mine. I know him since 2012, 2011 at the Olympic trials where we met and we traveled to the World Championships together. He fought Lomachenko at the Worlds. I had the honor of working his corner when he fought Vasily Lomachenko and came up short. But it was a good fight. He gave us Lomachenko a pretty decent
Wow.
fight back
Okay.
then.
Okay.
And you know, like I said, he's moved. He was with Freddie, but with his original coach Mondo, that obviously built him and groomed him as an amateur fighter, took him all the way to the USA boxing team and make the Olympic Games. Then shortly after that, Jose decided to move on to the pros and work with Freddie Roach. He won his first world title with Freddie when he who did he beat? I remember. I know who, but I just don't remember his name now. And so anyway, he won the world title, and immediately after that, he left Freddie to go work with Robert Garcia. So with Robert, he won another world title, another bout, same weight, 140, and I believe this was his third title defense, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right there, Manny. Were you thinking about Amir Imam as being the first
Amir
title he
Iman,
won?
uh-huh. And then Maurice Hooker, the second title.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
Amir Iman, very good fight by the way,
Yeah.
very good fight when he fought Amir
Yeah.
Iman
Amir.
at the
Yeah. You said at the
yeah.
at,
Go
at
ahead.
the theater at Madison Square Garden that
At
fight
the
went
theater,
down.
Madison Square Garden. That's correct.
And it looks like Manny, that was back in 2018 when he fought Amir Imam. He won the vacant WBC title, and then he beat Maurice Hooker in what I thought was a very dominant fashion, TKOing him in the sixth round
Right.
for that WBO
Hmm.
light welterweight title, Manny.
Yeah, he actually stopped Maurice Hooker. That's
Now,
correct.
before we move on with that, I mean, your experience with Jose Ramirez kind of piques my interest. I wanted to ask you. You said he gave Vasily Lomachenko a pretty good
Yeah,
fight. I mean, tell me a little bit
yeah, and
about
he
that.
gave him a good fight. Yeah, he lost by decision, obviously, and amateur fight, but the point scoring system, he lost to him, but he gave him a decent fight. He gave him a run, little run for his money. We all know Lomachenko is an incredible fighter, both as an amateur and as a pro. So, he got the experience, he got the opportunity to fight the best amateur fighter in the world at that time, which was Lomachenko, and I'm sure he learned a lot from that fight. Eventually, we went to Brazil for the second Olympic qualifier, and he won a bronze medal. He qualified in a quarterfinals. He lost the quarterfinals, but he qualified to the
Yeah.
Olympics and in the quarters, and was able to get a spot on the team.
Did you think back then, when I guess you were helping coaching him, did you think back then, Manny, that he would amount to what he's amounted to? I mean, he's now got two titles at 140. He's on the verge of unifying, assuming Josh Taylor gets through his fight, I believe, on September
Right.
26th. It would make sense that they fight each other after that. I mean, is that the kind of talent you saw from Jose Ramirez?
Definitely, Jose Ramirez was definitely the top fighter in the USA. Kept winning national title after national title every year, and made the team, and we all a lot of people much was expected of Jose Ramirez as an amateur, and then obviously moving into the pros. I mean, look, he was working with Freddie Roach and at the start of his career, not more than half of his career. Now he's with Robert, but he's a great fighter. But styles make
Yeah,
fights.
yeah, yeah.
Styles make fights. I said it myself. What do you think of the Jose Ramirez and Postol fight? Look, I see Jose Ramirez dominating the fight, either winning by knockout or even decision, one way or the other. But I see him dominating, and I was wrong.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was wrong. Styles make fights, and Postol, you got to give him credit, man. He's a older fighter now. He's not the same fighter he used to be. and not the same fighter that beat Lucas Matisse one
Oh
time
man,
at one
yeah,
point,
yeah.
but another former world champion himself. But he definitely gave Jose Ramirez a run for his money. And like I said, truthfully, the fight could have gone either way. Uh, it was a very close decision, and I don't think people would have argued too much if the fight would have gone Postol's way. But um, Jose Ramirez is the world champion, is the reigning world champion, undefeated. And it's okay. Like I said, the fight could have gone either way, but I'm not arguing the decision either.
Right, right. And it looks like it was a majority decision, Manny.
Majority.
Majority decision in this one. Victor Postol, he's a talented guy. He's always, kind of been at the top. I mean, he's been at the top for a very long time now. But I did think, Manny, he had more success against Ramirez than I expected because, we've seen Postol in there against Terrence Crawford. We saw Josh Taylor in there. They seem to have an easier time with him. Do you think the fact that these guys were kind of inactive for over a year and this whole virus situation and no audience, do you think that kind of played into it?
Well, they were both inactive. Ramon, then it was like the third time they were supposed to fight.
Right.
Remember, it started. Listen to this. It started. This whole. I'm gonna tell you what. I didn't know what the hell the coronavirus was until Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez was in China or was about to leave to China. And he was gonna fight Postol in China. Yes, the first time, and then it got canceled. Oh, they can't travel. The fight suspended. They can't travel due to the coronavirus. And the coronavirus, what the hell is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had no clue what that was back then. And that fight got canceled. This is when the coronavirus first broke out there in China, and so they didn't make the trip. And then again, it got canceled a second time, and now a third time they fought.
For sure. Manny, one thing I wanted to touch on with you, we mentioned Amir Imam. That's where Jose Ramirez won his first title. When I was down in South Florida, I think I've told you this before, I got to know Stacy McKinley, the guy who, among others, trained Mike Tyson for a very long time. And he was actually training Amir Imam at the time. And he was telling me, this kid is the young master. He's got a ton of potential. And Amir Imam was really good. And then he sort of lost to, I believe it was Adrian Granados is when he took his first
Granados
loss.
Knocked him out.
Yeah, and then,
He knocked him out.
I mean, since then, I felt like we just haven't seen the same guy, Manny.
He lost to Jose Ramirez, and then eventually he fought another good friend of mine, Molina. Javier Molina,
Right.
Olympian, 2008 Olympian, USA, and he fought him earlier this year. As a matter of fact, on the undercard of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, he fought on that card and beat him. Amir Iman.
Right.
Molina did. So that was another loss for Amir Iman. Not to take away anything. Anything from Amir Iman. He's a good fighter, but he just, he fought the better man that night, which was Molina.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised when he lost Adrian Granados. I felt like he lost a little bit of luster, Manny. I mean, do you notice that happen a lot in boxing, Manny, where a guy will lose a fight and then kind of taper off?
I don't know, because he did get a chance to fight for the world title versus Jose Ramirez, and they both fought a hell of a fight. That was a great fight.
Yeah.
It's a great fight. But like I said, styles make fights.
Right.
And Amir Iman sat there and banged with Jose Ramirez, and that's Jose Ramirez's fight right there. If you're gonna stand right there in front of Jose Ramirez, you're going to war. You're gonna have a long night, and that's what happened. On the other hand, with Postol, it's a different situation, different type of fighter. You know what I mean? So you saw a different outcome in
Manny,
this fight.
what was it though about Postol's style, in your opinion, that made this fight close? Because I was, he still got the win. I got nothing but love for Jose Ramirez. I've said it on the channel before. I think we both said it. He's one of my favorite fighters, Manny.
Yeah.
But being as that he's one of my favorite fighters, I kind of expected him to run through Victor Postol. Was there anything that you saw as a coach that made you
Yeah.
say this fight is difficult because of this or that?
Very simple. The jab.
Wow.
Something as simple as that. The jab was what did it for Postal. He had a very good jab. He was connecting the jab time and time again. Jose Ramirez was having a hard time getting through that jab, and I think Postal took that into account and at the start of the fight. Hey, wait a minute, listen, this is working for me. Stick and move, land the jab, beat him to the punch, and go. So I'm gonna stick with this, and he stuck with it all night.
Yeah, yeah. Manny, so next up, again, assuming he gets through his September 26th mandatory, and I'm talking about Josh Taylor, next up for Jose Ramirez should be a unification bout at 140 to see who the man is against Josh Taylor. And the only thing I remember about Josh Taylor, Manny, is the absolute war he had with Regis Prograis, where I think he silenced a lot of critics. I mean, I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a great fight, a close fight, but he really showed his quality and his class in that fight. You always tell me, man, you're only as good as your last fight. Based on Ramirez's performance on Saturday versus Josh Taylor, the last time I saw him, man, this is a tough fight for me to call, Manny. What do you think about this fight,
No,
Manny?
he definitely has some work to do. He definitely has some work to got to get back in. Maybe, like you said, maybe the ring rust. Hadn't fought in a little while, but he's got to definitely get back to the drawing board and make some changes. In his game. You know what I mean? He's got to hopefully sit back. Him, obviously, Robert Garcia is his coach. Sit back and watch the fight and see what they need to improve on. And I'm sure that his future opponent was also focused on that, the type of mistakes that he was making, and maybe get back to that jab, get back to he had a hard time, getting away from that jab. So whoever he's fighting next, if it's Josh Taylor, then he's gotta pick up on that and learn from that as well, and get back to what was working for Postol, which was a jab, man. It's incredible. I mean, he had a hard time getting away from that jab.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It seems easy. It looks simple, but nothing ever is.
Manny, let me into the mind of one of the most brilliant minds in boxing. If you're coaching Jose Ramirez for a guy like Josh Taylor, let's say, you're brought into that camp. What is it that you're working on? What is it that you're trying to improve, if anything, from this Postol fight going in there against a very, very tough guy in Josh Taylor?
Well, first thing that Jose Ramirez, the first thing that I work on is obviously, if he had a problem with the jab, then we got to go right back to that. And maybe work on the defensive strategy, blocking the jab, moving side to side, penetrating through that guard, through that defense to get on the inside where he loves to be at. He loves to be on the inside and go to that body. So working his way in through that jab, you know what I mean? And finding his range, finding his timing, finding his distance to do damage to his opponent. Cutting off the ring, obviously, and pinning his opponent up against the ropes, corner the opponent, so he can be able to get his combinations off. And I think he might be able to do that because Regis, they did a fine job. They both sat in the middle of the ring and exchanged on multiple occasions. So, maybe the same thing will happen with Jose. And if that happens, then I'm sure he'll have some luck. You know what I mean? Being able to get his combinations going.
Manny, despite being a tall, kind of seemingly long-limbed guy, I feel like Josh Taylor not only mixes it up from the outside, but likes to get inside and bang a little, Manny.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that might favor Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do that right away. Not with Josh Taylor. I would not send him to look for the fight. I would send him to box. I would send him to control the center of the ring and be the counter puncher. Work behind the jab. Maybe get Jose Ramirez to open up and counter. And obviously, once I begin to take control of the fight, you know, for the first, I would say, first 4 or 5 rounds, if I have control of the fight, if I have control of the momentum, if I'm controlling the tempo, then eventually I can sit there and bang a little bit. But as long as I know I'm in control, as long as my corner lets me know that, hey, listen, you're in control. Now you can sit there and get them to open up. Because now you might find a Jose Ramirez that's falling behind on the cards, and now he's got to open up. Now you get him to make more mistakes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
follow
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now that I'm dominating, I see myself dominating the fight. He's got to take a chance, and if he's going to take a chance, that means he's got to open up. He's got to be more aggressive. If he's being more aggressive, he's going to open up for me, and I move in for the counter, beat him to the punch and go, or maybe sit there and bang with him a little bit and try to beat him at his own game, which is to fight him on the inside.
Manny, I find it extremely interesting, and I'd love to pick your brain about this a little bit. You mentioned, before, and now you're kind of saying it again. You're implying that, be the boxer, get up on the scorecards, and then when the opportunity presents itself or you're ahead, kind of bang it out on the inside a little bit. I mean, why that mentality? Kind of help me understand why it wouldn't be better to just cruise and box as opposed to jump in on the inside and kind of slug it out when you're ahead.
Because he's not that type of fighter. Josh Taylor's not that type of fighter. He's the type of fighter that likes to give people what they pay for,
Ah,
which is to fight, which is to sit there and make it an exciting fight. That's the kind of fighter he is. He's not Postol, with all due respect to Postol, but Postol did, he's an older fighter now, of course. He's not as young as he used to be. So maybe he couldn't afford to sit there and bang with a younger fighter of Jose
right,
Ramirez.
right.
You
Yeah,
follow me? But somebody that's in the top of somebody like Josh Taylor that's at the top of his game, he could do that.
yeah,
He,
yeah,
he did it with one of the most dangerous men at the 140-pound weight class, which is the
yeah,
reaches.
yeah.
So he can do it with Jose. Definitely do it with Jose. Jose, don't never count him out, man. Jose, he's a WBO and the WBC junior welterweight champion of the world. So he's definitely earned that. I thought when he fought Sean Cepeda, that was another very close fight versus Jose Ramirez that could have gone either way. And you learn from those fights. You have
Yeah.
to. You have to. He's an experienced fighter. He's a world champion. He's an Olympian. He has a great amateur background. So, fighters like Jose Ramirez are able to adapt. They're able to make changes during a fight. Experience does that for you.
Man, Manny, Jose Ramirez is such a fantastic fighter. As is Josh,
Great,
as is
man.
Josh Taylor, man. I'm such a fan of these two
Right.
guys, Manny. Um,
You know what, man? They're both great fighters, but I'm taking Jose Ramirez. That's my
oh,
boy
for
right there. So I
sure.
gotta go. I gotta go with my man Jose
For
Ramirez,
sure,
man.
even though I'm a transplant, I would have to go with the Cali boy as well.
That's
I
right.
would have to, I would have to go with Ramirez. But I really dig Manny. I really dig Josh Taylor. I dig his toughness. I
Okay.
love I love the whole kind of mentality they got over there in the UK. I think it would be a huge fight, Manny, with the Mexican fans and the UK fans kind of coming together to watch this fight.
Mhm. Oh
Oh
yeah.
my goodness, it would be electric. They asked Jose if he would want that fight in the bubble. Obviously, afterwards they asked him who he wants next, and of course, being the real, being the real fighter that he is, he says, "I want Josh Taylor." But they asked him if he wanted in the bubble or if he wanted to do it in the UK if a crowd was out there, and he said definitely in the UK with a crowd. Manny, to me, maybe I'm wrong. This is a top three most exciting fight to make in boxing, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I got this one. I got Spence versus Crawford, and I got Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. For me, these are the fights I want to watch the most. Kind of tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, well, you might want you're asking for a lot when you say Spence Crawford. They got a lot of talking to do, a lot of negotiations to do
Yeah,
for that fight to happen. But I can see obviously Jose Ramirez versus Taylor. That's a doable fight. They both want to fight, and I think both promoters are don't have a problem working together. Uh, one fight I want to see is Lomachenko and Teofimo. That's a
that's
fight I want to
another one.
see.
That's another one.
That's another one. Yep. And then Tyson Fury's got some unfinished business with Deontay Wilder. If we can get through Deontay Wilder the second time, then I can see a fight sometime next year between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. I would love that. I would love to see that.
Absolutely, Manny. But I'm hearing all these whispers, Manny, about Tyson Fury potentially not fighting Wilder next. I don't know what's going on. Maybe Wilder's injured. Maybe something's going on with Wilder. But I mean, I'm hearing all these hints through the
Mm.
grapevine that he may just be fighting Anthony Joshua. I think I even saw in a
Not good.
I think
Yeah.
I even saw in an article that he was saying, well, if I can't fight Wilder, then why not Anthony Joshua in December?
Right. Wow, this December. Wow. Okay. Well, look, I said it earlier this year when both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fought. I felt like Jose, am I saying? I felt like Deontay Wilder needed to go back to the drawing board and stay away from Tyson Fury a third time. He's got to make some changes in his arsenal. He's got to maybe get a couple tuna fights, sit sit out the fight versus Tyson Fury and wait a little while.
Yeah.
Develop a little more in the gym. Work on that jab. Work on his skills. Work on that defense. Work on that footwork, and maybe fight the winner of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. But so if he's stepping aside or if he's not thinking about not fighting Tyson Fury, I think he's making the right decision. Because this isn't even about money. He got plenty of Deontay Wilder's got plenty of money. You know what I mean? I think it's more about him. I think it's more about him growing as an individual, growing as a fighter, as a person, and getting back to that gym and get back to that drawing board, man, and work on your craft.
We have talked about this before, Manny, and I love your opinion on that, Manny. That's such a great coach's opinion, an advisor's opinion, a manager's opinion. That's the exact same thing I would do if I were kind of running Wilder's camp. I'd tell him, hey, go work on yourself, the way you're saying, Manny. What do you think Wilder has to do? This, I mean, since we're on the subject, what would you kind of teach Wilder to do ahead of a fight with Tyson Fury? Because obviously, I mean, you've got a ton of experience with heavyweights. You've got Charles Martin right now, a guy toiling away again at the top of the heavyweight division. You had Andy Ruiz. You've fought Anthony Joshua a couple times now. I mean, what do you say and what do you do in training camp for Deontay Wilder to get him ready for a Tyson Fury Manny?
You know what? Uh, this is my opinion. Obviously, I don't know what people might say or think, but what would I do with someone like Deontay Wilder? I would definitely go back to the drawing board and work on his mechanics, work on his fundamentals, man.
Yeah.
Work on his fundamentals. It's a little bit like going back to day one. When he first came into the gym and going work, working on the mechanics and working on the jab and the fundamental punches of boxing, which is your jab and your right hand and position and balance and that type of stuff. Because he's all over the place,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He's all over the place. And if he doesn't land that right hand, then what does he
Right.
have?
Right.
You know. Maybe work on the jab a little bit and get him to set up his combinations behind the jab, and again his balance, his finding that fine tuning him, you know what I mean? And in order to do that, you got to go back to day one, man. You got to go back to fundamentals of boxing.
Manny, 34 years of age. How does he do that at this point? I mean, are there some things that you'd be able to teach him? Do you think at this age he'd be able to change his mechanics?
Yeah, like, I really believe so. I really
Yeah.
believe that because when you talk about your fundamentals, you're not asking for a lot. You're talking about the jab. You're talking about 1-2s and setting up your. He's a big puncher already. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But when you see him jab, even when you see him jab, he's off balance. You got to work on that balance. You know what I mean? You got to work on that. Uh, 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 keeping his shoulder leveled, and then finding that center of gravity to make his punches count. If you get what I'm saying, like he's all over the place, so he's got to learn balance, learn position. You got to be in position to attack, but also position to defend. And if you're not in position, then why would you
Yeah.
attack, or how can you defend? You got to be set. You got to be ready, and goes back to basic fundamentals.
Manny, how much would you love? Because I know I would. How much would you love to have the opportunity to kind of coach Wilder and teach him this kind of stuff ahead of a rematch with Tyson Fury? Because I would love to see what you could do for a guy like Deontay Wilder, who has the natural gift of power and that big right hand, and maybe that could be the difference in the rematch. A couple jabs to the body, changing levels, things like that. Just having a nice jab
Right.
to kind of
Yeah.
hide that big right hand. I mean, how amazing of an opportunity would it be to coach a guy like Wilder?
It would be awesome. I mean, it would be fantastic. It takes me back to when I was working. I worked for the Mr. Michael King, the All American heavyweights in Carson, California. Mike, many people might know. Some people might know that Mr. Michael King passed away, but he had a great program with the All American heavyweights. He's like determined to find the next heavyweight Olympian, heavyweight champion, and he found Dominic
Yeah.
Brazil. Dominic Brazil, that I worked with as an amateur when he was an amateur boxer and pro. Amateur Dominic Brazil came out of that program and won the USA national championships. Was able to qualify to win the qualifier, and then was able to qualify in Brazil. Won a silver medal and qualified to the Olympic Games, and then was able to represent USA. But look, that's a perfect example. Look, when I st- Dominic Brazil came in late to the game. He was a former football player, quarterback, and collegiate football quarterback, and tried out for a couple of NFL teams, but never made it that far. But anyway, uh, uh, he was knew nothing about boxing. I pretty much had to teach, and this is what I'm getting at with Deontay Wilder. There's levels, obviously. We understand that the Deontay Wilder. We know what he did to Dominic Brazil, but Dominic Brazil is a freaking warrior, man. I don't care what anybody says
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Got heart, man. He's got heart, and I understand that he was a limited boxer when it came to his skills, but his heart and effort made up for it, right? But that was one fighter that look how far he got
Right. Right.
with
Right.
limited skills, boxing skills, and it wasn't his fault because he started late. But you have to admire, you have to be able to admire everything that he did as a fighter with such limited time. Made the Olympic team, went to the Olympics, and might have been boxing for about 3 or 4 years, and then ends up going to the Olympics. Something similar happened to Deontay Wilder because he started
Right.
late too,
Right.
and he started late in boxing. Charles Martin came out of the All American heavyweight program as well, and these are guys that I that for example, Charles Martin. I still continue to work with Charles. I still continue to work on those fundamentals. You know what I mean? And I'm still teaching this guy how to
Yeah.
box.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people, you see him on TV, and I believe he could do better, but people don't know that he hasn't been boxing for too long.
Right.
Somebody like like Dominic Brazil, he was criticized a lot for his skills, but he only had a limited time boxing years. You know what I mean? He was only boxing for several. Had only been boxing for several years. Not like most of these fighters that start when they're freaking 5 years
Right,
old. You know what I
right,
mean? That wasn't Dominic. That wasn't Charles. That wasn't Deontay Wilder.
right, right.
You know?
And we can't
And
forget.
look how far.
Well, we can't forget that Dominic Brazil also challenged for a title twice, right? Once against Wilder,
Mhm.
once against Anthony Joshua, and he actually.
I was there when he fought Joshua. I worked his corner when he fought Joshua. Man, I was at the O2 Arena in London. That was a hell of an experience, man. To be able to walk out to that type of an environment, believe me, you will feel it. You know, Jose Ramirez is talking about going to Europe to fight Josh Taylor out there. That's something he's never seen before, man. He's got to get ready for it. He's got to get ready
Yeah,
for it,
yeah.
especially if it takes place at one of these soccer stadiums. Oh, forget about it, man. It's gonna be, whoo, man. It's something else. I tell you, it's something
I
else.
love it, Manny. So I mean, we're on the topic of the biggest fights to be made in boxing, man, and I think it's a great topic. I mean, so going back to it, of course, Lomachenko and Teofimo. That's one we both are. We can't wait to watch that one. Fury Joshua, and I definitely think Spence Crawford, but then Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. Man, I feel like the Josh Taylor Jose Ramirez is probably one that will kind of go under the radar because definitely they're not at the level, I think, popularity wise, maybe as some of those other guys. But
I don't know. I don't know. I think for the hardcore boxing fans, for boxing fans in general, they're definitely at the top of their game. Especially someone like Josh Taylor. He's big in Europe, man.
yeah,
He's
that's what
big.
I'm saying. I think for the hardcore boxing fans, that's definitely got to be a top five fight. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
definitely got to be a top five.
definitely, definitely a fight we all want to see.
And is that something you'd feel comfortable? Is that a fight you'd feel comfortable predicting?
Look, I'm going with Jose
Yeah,
Ramirez, but my heart's telling me Jose
yeah,
Ramirez. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Right? My mind may be telling me, it's
Tough.
look, Manny. You know what I mean? I'm picking Jose, but it won't be easy. It'll definitely be a very very tough fight. It will definitely be a lot more entertaining than Saturday night's fight. And like I said, styles make fights. So when Jose Ramirez, if and when they do fight, which versus Josh Taylor, I believe we'll see a crowd pleasing fight. I see both fighters engaging and giving people what they want to see, a big fight.
I cannot wait, Manny. I think it's absolutely necessary that fight happens with a crowd. I do not want to see that fight in a bubble.
No, no way. Let's hope this is all over with
I
really
hope
soon.
so. Manny, we also had another title fight over the weekend. We had Erislandi Lara taking on a guy in Greg Vendetti on PBC on Fox. Main event. It actually happened here in Los Angeles. Lara kind of cruised to a decision win in that fight. What do you kind of think of Erislandi Lara, and what do you think of him at this point in his career?
Lada's Lada, man. Lada's hard to hit, man. He's a skillful fighter.
Yeah.
He's still got, he's still got juice left in him. You know what I mean? He's definitely a guy that I consider to be, at the top of his game still up to this day. A lot of people felt like he beat Canelo when he fought with when they fought several years ago, and the fight could have gone, could have possibly gone his way. I saw Canelo win, by the way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw Canelo win that fight. I was there, I was present, and I felt like Canelo was the one that was applying the pressure throughout the fight and landed the bigger blows. But Erislandy Lara is an excellent boxer, an excellent counter puncher. Great, he's got great ring
Yeah,
generalship, and
yeah.
got another win. It makes it look easy, man. He makes fights look easy when they're not easy. They're really not, but he just makes it look
Yeah,
easy. To me, he's probably the best Cuban boxer the best professional Cuban
Yeah,
boxer that
yeah,
is
yeah,
that I've seen in a long time since Mantequilla Napoles, maybe.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
It's got to be between him and I guess Rigondeaux. Am I right, man?
I like Rigondeaux, but I think Erislandy Lara has the edge on Rigondeaux. That's my
Gotcha,
opinion.
gotcha. And Gamboa was fun to watch, but definitely not on the level of these guys.
He was fun to watch. You watch, yeah, absolutely. I was just watching the Gamboa over the weekend. I was watching a rerun of Gamboa and Gervonta Davis.
Ah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
you know, that just I was watching that fight, and yeah, Gervonta won again in the last round.
Yeah,
He knocked him out again in that
yeah,
last round.
not that wasn't the best performance for Gervonta Davis. I thought, definitely
Hmm.
Gamboa at this point is shop worn, and we saw Terrence Crawford get him out of there back when he was
So
still much closer to his prime. So,
135,
yeah,
right? Yep, in his prime, yeah. Back when Crawford was 135, now he's
right,
147.
right, right. So
Mm-hmm.
now Manny, now Lara is hoping to face the winner of next month's, I guess, winner between Jermel Charlo and Jason Rosario. Man, that is another exciting fight for boxing. I mean, what do you kind of think about those two guys
Mm-hmm.
going at it?
Yeah, I mean these are all PBC fighters. You know what I mean? You talk about Taragu Shea fighting September 19th versus Erickson Lubin. These are PBC boxers. My boy Taragu Shea.
Oh
We're
yeah,
fighting Lubin. It's a world title eliminator. So hopefully, God willing, we get the W. We move on and we fight for the WBC Super Welterweight Championship. And then you got Lara, and then you got both Charlo brothers, 154, 160. It's stacked. And then and then you got the guys at 147 that can easily move up and fight at 154 with Sean Porter and Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. You know, and some of these other guys. I mean, it's they don't need to go anywhere else. They can rotate and fight each other
right,
forever.
right, right.
You know what I mean? Now, like we talked about Crawford. Unfortunately, Crawford, he's at the top of his game, but all the top 147 pounders are, let's be real, they're all with
Right,
PBC.
right.
So it's difficult to make fights like that. You know what I mean? And then you got Canelo at 160. I mean, take a pick: 160, 168, 175.
Right, right.
But if you got Canelo 160, he's a Golden Boy fighter. But then again, you got all the top guys at 154, 160 being with PBC. How do you make that happen?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we talk about, oh, I want to see this fight. Yeah, I want to see them too. But people got to understand that it's not even about the fighters, because fighters fight. Fighters will fight anybody. You ask anybody, man, oh, I'll fight you whenever, wherever. But it's the promoters,
Right,
man.
right, right.
The promoter seems like the promoters have more beef with each other than the boxers do.
For sure,
You know
for
what I
sure. I
mean?
feel like top rank in PBC is something that, is going to be very
Yeah.
hard to make that happen, I think.
Yeah. Well, they made Fury and Wilder, so I can see, there's a possibility there that they can make Crawford and and
Right,
uh,
right.
and every-
I hope they do, Manny. But yeah, I mentioned Jermel Charlo versus Jason Rosario. That's a fight.
yeah,
That's a fight to me that seems like it's going to be a
yeah.
very exciting fight, Manny. What do you kind of think of those guys?
I think it's gonna be a good fight. Definitely gonna be a good fight. I mean, nobody knew about Rosario until he beat J Rock.
Right, right.
Nobody knew who he was. So, as I always say, man, every fighter is one fight away from the big time. All you can ask for is an opportunity. All you can ask for is to be given a shot at stardom, at greatness.
Yeah,
Give me an
yeah.
opportunity. So a lot of these guys, many people haven't, we never even heard of until now with Rosario, what he did. And it's not winning, it's how you win. So the way he got it done in convincing fashion, that gives people something to talk about.
Man, Manny Rosario is just like a bulldozer, man. He just goes in there and bangs people out. I think that's very entertaining for the fans.
What about Angulo? What do you got to say? Speaking of fighters that go out there and bet,
Yeah.
what do you get? Speaking of bulldozers, what do you think of Pedro Angulo, man? What happened there?
Manny,
You think it's time for him?
man.
Think it's time for him to
Oh
retire?
yeah, yeah. It's and I don't say this disrespectfully at all because I've been a fan of El Perro Angulo, Manny, since the
Yeah.
first time I saw the guy. I mean, the guy's a beast. We can't say anything
Hmm.
but that. I've rarely ever seen anybody that tough in a boxing ring in my life, and
Hmm.
that's a huge thing to say. I mean, I've been watching boxing for quite a long time, and man, I love El Perro Angulo. I'll go as far as to say I love to watch the guy. But, he came in there against this guy, Vladimir Hernandez, on Saturday night. Um, I thought Angulo won the fight, Manny, but
Yeah.
he looked like a shell of his he looked like a shell of his former self. He's a lot slower. I mean, he's never been known for speed, right?
Correct.
But he just looked
Been
really
known for power.
slow, man. I mean, he'll be entertaining if you put him in there against another guy that's kind of slow, like the guy he fought on Saturday night, Vladimir Hernandez.
Yeah.
Again, I think Angulo should have been given the decision, and he wasn't. Maybe they're trying to, end his career. I don't know. I don't know what happened,
I
but
don't know.
he's definitely. I think it's time to hang him up. I don't think he's got much more to
Mm.
prove. I mean, what do you kind of think about Angulo, man?
I think he's got. I would love to see him fight one more time, and I'm gonna tell you against who right
Oh
now,
my God.
and you'll probably agree with me on this one.
Let's do it.
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Perro
Oh
Angulo.
my goodness, Manny.
Wouldn't you like to see that, huh?
Oh my goodness, Manny. My goodness.
That'd be a fun fight to watch.
Manny,
You know.
I would definitely want to take a couple shots of tequila, maybe nurse those with a modelo and watch that fight because that would be pure entertainment, Manny.
from the from the what do you call it, the press conference all the way to the
Oh
weigh
my
in, all the way to the
God.
fight. It would be nothing but entertainment. Oh, definitely.
Oh, that's a fight. Now that you've said it, that's a fight that needs to happen, Manny. That's a fight that needs to
Right, I'm
happen.
telling you.
Manny,
Telling you.
what is the deal? What is the deal with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? I mean, I'm the biggest fan ever of Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., but what's going on with Jr., Manny, in your opinion? What's that guy's deal?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I don't know. The guy's he's not stable.
Yeah.
He's very unstable, and he could have been great. He could have, definitely when he fought Canelo. I remember that fight. I mean, I tell you, most people there were actually supporting Chavez.
Wow.
Most people in attendance were cheering for. Most people were cheering for Chavez. I was personally cheering for Canelo, and he put a number on him. He wasn't able to put him away. That goes to show you Chavez Jr. he's got a chin.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got a hell of a chin, and what it is about him, and he just doesn't take care of himself. He keeps putting himself in awkward situations, and that's why I like to see. I like to see him fight Perro, and the winner moves on, and the loser gets maybe got to think about retiring.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be definitely a fun fight. That chin, Manny, that chin is genetic. Did I ever tell you about that thing I read online where they said Julio Cesar Chavez's chin is like 2 to 3 times thicker than a normal human's chin?
Wow, wow, I believe that. And you know what? And Angulo has a hell of a chin too.
Yeah, yeah, that's
They
true.
both get and they both get they both get hit, man. So you close your eyes and you hit on you won't miss Angulo. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
throw punches and you just start throwing punches out of nowhere, and 90% of those punches are gonna land.
Manny, what do since we touched on the topic of Chavez Jr., what do you think was his best performance? I mean, where do you think he was his best?
His best performance was probably when he won the WBC middleweight title, if I'm not mistaken,
Was it against
versus
Andy
a
Lee?
German. No, no, no. I guess versus a German fighter, German boxer that he beat.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Got to look him up. He won the WBC title, and that's probably his best performance in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I remember watching and being very excited about his fight with Sergio Martinez.
Oh
What?
yeah, that was a good fight too. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he lost every round. He lost every round in that fight.
Well, until the end. Do you remember,
Oh,
Manny,
yeah.
when he gave him a scare?
Yeah, he almost pulled a Maldry Taylor versus Chavez Senior. Yeah,
My goodness, my goodness. But
almost. Almost don't cut it.
and
Almost don't cut it, man.
it's like we just go from topic to topic here. I just talking about that's got me thinking about Sergio Martinez. It looks like he's making a comeback as well. All these comebacks
All right.
happening in boxing, man.
Yeah, I mean, where do you think that is? They ran out of money. Fighters running out of money. What do you think? What do you think it is? You
Manny,
know?
I think these sports for these guys and reaching the summits and the victories and things like that, it's I mean you would know, you come from a
Yeah.
fighting family, you would know this. It's such an adrenaline rush. It's their meaning in life, and when they can no longer do it anymore, I think it's hard for them to let go of it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's definitely. But once you retire, you got to stay retired because it's extremely hard to come back out of retirement and do this again. And with the weight loss and getting in shape and the conditioning and the sparring and getting beat up in sparring, that's just too much, man.
Yeah.
It's too much. Once you make move on to a different career, maybe coaching.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. Uh, Sergio Martinez was a great fighter. He was an entertaining. It was a fun fighter to watch. Southpaw with skills, and that's another fighter that started late in boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then look how far he made it. Look how far he got. I had that God given talent.
He
And
had talent, man. He had talent. I mean, that was a guy who started, despite starting late, was still more skilled than almost everybody he ever fought. That's a special guy, Manny. That's a special
yeah,
guy.
definitely special guy. Yeah, Father Time got caught up, but Father Time catches up to all of us. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
Caught up to him, and we figured, okay, he's gonna retire, and now he's back.
Yep, yep. Well, Manny,
Mm-hmm.
we're closing in on an hour here, so I wanted to thank you for your time again. We definitely got to do this again we're going to be airing these episodes now, just so everybody knows, Manny. Tuesdays at noon, we're going to be airing Keep It Clean with Manny Robles. It's going to be recorded, so we don't have to deal with the technical issues we were dealing with before, but we may do live shows again at some point in the future. So Knuckleheads, if you want to join me and Manny and join Knucklehead Nation, hit the subscribe button below, the bell notification icon next to it. That's the way you join Knucklehead Nation. And also get your shirts, whether it's Fighters Rep or Keep It Clean gear, in the link below, Manny. We've got masks, we've got shirts, we've got everything for all the fight fans, Manny. So that's pretty much it. Manny, is there anything you want to say to the Knuckleheads before we let them go until next week?
Well, stay tuned, guys. Let's support the great sport of boxing. Let's watch those fights. Gives us a lot to talk about. We got every week. Boxing, from the looks of it, is getting all back to normal. We're having more and more boxing matches every week, every weekend. So, let's just all stay up to date, and I'll see everybody in a week.
There you have it, Knuckleheads. Until next time, keep it clean. Me and Manny, we're out of here.